All right, this chapter is a little bit shorter than the last one. The first chapter covered a lot of topics. This one covers just a portion of some of those. And if I can get my keyboard to function, there we go. All right, planning. So we're going to be covering strategic, tactical, and operational planning on Chapter 2. Then we're going to contingency on Chapter 3. We actually do some projects in Chapter 3. Okay, so it'll be fun stuff. All right, roles. Planning, everybody needs to be involved. That's where a lot of people don't do it. Like a prime example is our school a couple of years ago switched on a new firewall system that supposedly everybody was involved in the configuration of, yet they blocked port 8080. Well, 8080 is what we use for Westlaw. I don't know if you all know what Westlaw is. That's our legal program uses it. So when you block Westlaw, they were kind of dead. So the classes started in the fall. No one could do any work. So, and it was, yeah, but supposedly the people were involved in there. But it should be employees, management, stakeholders, outside stakeholders. You might affect other people as well. Okay. All right. Vision, mission, and vision statement and mission statements are kind of important, and I've helped our school make those, and I'm not a fan of doing that. I don't know if anyone's ever worked on a vision statement or a mission statement. It's tough. I remember in the Air Force it was service before self and integrity above all, or something like that was the statement for the Air Force. But it's kind of important you have something like that, so you have some driving force of where you're going. Okay? All right. All right. The whole point of this is to get toward your goal. So you come up with a goal. What are we going to do? We are building a whatever. Now we need to make sure everything we do along the way gets us there. Okay? All right. And the planning will obviously give us directions for that. And the leadership should be the ones that are leading this. Okay? Here's a value statement. RWW values commitment, honesty, integrity, and social responsibility among its employees and is committed to providing its services in harmony with its corporate, social, legal, and natural environments. Wow, it probably took them 6 months to make that, because I've been to some of those meetings and they take forever. Okay. They give us our foundation for planning. I don't remember our exact statement at Rose State, but it's about teaching the community. So that's what everything at our school is geared toward. Okay. The vision statement, here's an example of that. Random Widget Works will be preferred manufacturer of choice for every business's widget needs with the RWW widget in every machine they use. Yes. So there's our vision, and then our mission statement. It says Random Widget Works designs and manufactures quality widgets and associated equipment and supplies for use in modern business environments. Okay, basically it declares what you would be doing. Okay, where are our operations? That's where we say we're teaching college, students, stuff like that. Right? And here's Microsoft's mission statement, whatever it is. Okay. Okay, strategic planning. We have a strategic planning committee that meets every so often. I was actually on that committee for a short period of time. And you look at, what are we going to be doing like 5 years out? Okay. Yeah, I think everybody signed it now. Yeah. So they have what's called a 5-year plan at our school. I don't know if you guys have something like that here, but it's what are you doing? Not today, not tomorrow. What are we doing in 5 years? I was also I went to a conference at Microsoft once, and there was a guy. This is prior to Vista. Prior to Windows 7, when I was at this conference there, and they were talking, and when the guy comes in, and he was basically the strategic planning guy. He didn't look at what they want now. He looked at what we need 10 years from now. That's tough. Yeah. Would you have thought cloud computing would be as popular 10 years ago as it is now? No. But I'm assuming somebody did, or else we wouldn't be here today. So, all right, long-term direction. Okay. So strategic planning is a disciplined effort to produce fundamental decisions and actions that shape and guide where an organization is, what it does, why it does it, and focus on the future. All right. All right. Here's all the stuff involved in it. The technicians, the administration, the management, CISO. We're going to talk more about those. Okay. All right. basically develop your plans. You're going to come up with a plan for all your decisions. We have a committee who decides on to buy stuff, like a technology committee. We have a plan that basically says this committee is going to be in charge of such and such a stuff. Okay? And then that committee actually goes out and implements it. Okay? So each level translates those objectives into more specific objectives. Now, I work in the business division. Ours is actually even more detailed of exactly what we will do to meet the school's mission. Okay? All right. Different levels, there's lots of different levels. We're not going to spend much time on this, but they all should be measurable. I had to do metrics when I was in the military. Some of you probably heard what metrics are. It's basically, how are you doing your job? Okay? One of the metrics we use at our school is graduation rate. I'm assuming you guys have a poor graduation like all community colleges do. Ours was like 8 or 10%. It was really pitiful. The reason is a lot of students come to our school not to graduate. They come there just get a couple classes to go on for the bachelor's degree. Do y'all have that issue at your schools?
I wasn't able to attend a recent one, but we did one MCC at Municipal Auditorium. Did you go? Yeah, I couldn't because my daughter's wedding.
But our numbers, see, our students have to actually graduate with a degree within 3 years to count as a graduate. That's what sucks. Because, you know, even though I told you earlier, I finally got my road stage associate's degree, yay, I'm not going to count as a graduate because I didn't do it within 3 years. From the day you first enroll in the school, you must complete within 3 years to be counted. But with ours, you know, we have Tinker Air Force Base across the street. So we have a lot of people taking undergraduate classes there. We have, you know, Tinker has a bunch of colleges, as Park University, Webster University, all those other schools. So they send everybody to Rose State to get their English and their history and their government. So it's tough. That's why our graduation rates are so low. Okay? But how are we going to get to the point to work with that? Okay? Okay. Have all your different division plans. They fall underneath the overall strategic plan. Okay? Technical. Okay? A little more fun in my opinion. At least it's somewhere short term. You don't have to worry about so far out. At least, you know, how are we going to do whatever? Okay? So, okay. Then operations, there's our weekly meetings, our summaries, our progress reports. Now they're actually implementing all this stuff. How are we doing it? Okay. All right. Executive summaries. I teach my students in a couple different classes to write executive summaries. And the way it was taught to me was in one of my master's level classes. I think it was a project management class actually, and we had to broke us up into groups, and we had to give a presentation on it. I think we had to install a swimming pool. And we had to come up with the whole entire plan for installing a swimming pool. And it came time for the presentation. We all showed up. We stood up there to give a presentation. We covered the executive summary, and then the teacher left. He's like, oh, I'm upper management. I'm only here for the executive summary. He goes, I'll read your report later and get all the rest of your information. But he actually, that was a very good point he put across, that really, executive summary should really be a synopsis of the whole entire thing. I tell my students, your executive summary in forensics should be tell me basically what you did and what the results were. Then you go into the report and break it apart and tell me everything you did. So I cover that with my students, and it seems to get them thinking in the right way at least. Okay. All right. So we also have your mission statement, your strategic issues, the goals and objectives. Are you actually meeting those? Okay. All right. Then appendices if needed. Tips. This is create a compelling vision statement that frames the evolution or evolving plan. And those are tough. I've helped create them, but I just really suck at creating strategic plan, vision statements, all those, because it takes hours and hours, and you really end up with, I don't know, one sentence. But they are very important. Okay. It says, embrace the use of a balanced scorecard. In other words, who likes this, who doesn't like that. It's tough. Okay. All right. And let's see. Let's move on. More tips. It says, make the evolving plan visible so people can see it. At Rose State, we actually post them on the walls in our buildings. Our vision statement. And the president sends them out to all of us to look at. So, actually, they were updating something the other day on it. Be persistent. Okay. Make it a continuous process. That's where a lot of people fail. They think you're doing things one time. Okay. lighten up and have some fun. Yeah, it doesn't happen so often, but okay. We actually had a strategic planning meeting middle of May. We have something called the Atkinson Heritage Center at Rose State. Forget his name now. Mr. Atkinson donated this huge piece of property and house and everything to the school, so we can use it for meetings. So we had a strategic planning meeting at our school, or in our division, out there the other day to see where our division was going in the future. So it's a good idea we do it. And the reason we had it was because our VP of something or other asked our dean, hey, when's the last time you had a strategic planning? And we never did. So something that needs to happen quite frequently. Well, every couple of years it needs to happen. Okay? All right, governance. Okay? Who's in charge of this? Who's in charge of the plan? Our school actually had to do a PCI compliance check recently. Y'all know what PCI compliance check is? Anybody? That's the ability to accept credit cards. I forget exactly what it stands for. Payment something. But that's a big issue. Our school had to go through this big old deal. And I asked the question, I said, great, you completed the PCI compliance, because obviously we still accept credit cards. So where is all the documentation you use and all the policies you have in place that you did this? Oh, we know them. We just know them. I'm like, oh, wow. It's so not really a good idea. Okay? All right. So security objectives must be addressed at the highest level. I'm one of those. You ever hear that saying that for every one person who complains about something, there's 17 that don't complain about something? So you ever go to a restaurant and eat and have bad service? Do you just leave? I just leave, but then I go online and complain. I got a $25 gift card from Sonic. Do you have Sonic up here? Yeah. Okay. At least in our area, it's changed. Sonic now, you can no longer buy a hamburger. You have to buy a cheeseburger. Hamburger's no longer on the menu. And if you want to tell them to remove the cheese, fine. But they don't give you money back for the cheese. The corporate-owned ones do, but the one by my house doesn't. I got so upset. I'm like, but I don't want cheese. Okay, we'll take it off. I'm like, I want you to credit me to 50 cents. Well, we can't do that. I'm like, oh, I was so upset with them, but but amongst other things. But basically, you need to get the objections heard. When it comes to your security plan, you need to let people know what's going on. Our password policy at our school, the default password for students is the birthday. Do you all have something similar to that for students? Do you all know?
They give you a good one.
For the students?
Yeah.
Ours is their birthday. And what sucks is they can change it. But you can always log in with your birthday still. You can, okay, if you change your password, what happens is it actually changes an Active Directory. But you can still log into the student information system, like where they enroll in school and stuff like that. Birthday still works. It'll always work in there. And I have said that is the stupidest idea, because I don't know what y'all have here, but we have the Oklahoma voter registration website. Well, I can log in, put in your name, and I can see your name and your address when you voted. It also includes your birthday. So once I get that, now I can log in as any one of my students. I just have to get their name. Now I have their birthday. And yeah, it does have a student ID, but the systems, you know how Windows works. It remembers, once you log into a system, now you have a profile on there. So it's just, but I've mentioned that so many times, I don't think we've ever actually fixed it yet, but I keep bringing it up to everybody. Okay. All right. Other things that involve strategic direction, objectives. Okay. What are you going to do? Okay. And the assets. It says validating the organizational assets and used property. What are you actually doing? Okay. Or what are you using, should I say? One thing our school actually did recently, which was a really good idea, we have our PeopleSoft system, which runs on a whole pile of servers. When they were replacing them, they took the old servers and actually assembled a small network in the basement of our communications center where they could actually go in there and enroll students, write paychecks, stuff like that in case of an emergency. So kind of good. They're actually reusing some of the stuff. Okay? All right. Board of directors should obviously be involved in this as well. Okay? And I'm not going to cover all these in great gore detail. Okay, outcome. We should have a strategic alignment of our plan and our organization. Risk management should be reduced. And we cover risk in a later chapter as well. Okay. Okay, performance measures. We have to have some way we know we're doing it. Like at our school, what's our graduation rate? What's our enrollment? Okay, we actually canceled a program at our school, our gaming program, because of low enrollment or low graduation. So I'm assuming you guys do the same thing here. Yep. They just cancel people. So, all right. Recommended practice is place information security on the board's agenda. We do that at our school. IT, we have a CIO who is on the executive board of our school, who meets every, the third Thursday of each month or something with our regions. Okay. All right. Hold people accountable. Okay. All right. Let's see what on. Here we have initiating, diagnosing, establishing, acting, and learning. Yes, there's our framework. Okay. We're not going to go in depth on that either. Okay. All right, roles of the CIO and CISO says translate overall plan into tactical and operational security. So that's what our CIO does. Okay, hopefully that's what he says he does. Okay, the CISO has a major role in developing it. Again, I don't know to what depth they work on it, but they should. Okay, and here's the job description: understands the fundamental business activities and suggests appropriate information security solutions to protect these activities. All right. Okay, then after we have all that, implementation can begin, and we can do top down or bottom up. Here we go. Top down, the CEO or whatever the management tells us what to do, or bottom up, initiated by other people, administrators, network administrators or technicians. So, you can do either way. Actually, when they hired me, they actually asked me one of these questions. This was when I got hired at Rush State, it says, what's the top-down approach? So, yep. All right, systems development life cycle. Okay, it's a methodology to design, implement information system. They're no longer just programs; they're entire systems now. Okay, everything should be reviewed. Okay. When I worked at Tinker in the software development flight, we were CMM level 2, which is the capability and maturity module. It's a way of developing software. It's a way of doing it correctly. And review is a very, very big issue. Okay. Writing software, you always design it first, get it reviewed multiple times until everybody's happy with it. Then you actually start writing the code and get it reviewed. So there's many steps. This isn't necessarily about software, but systems go through the same basic thing. Okay. Okay. We also have the security development in the same basic thing there. Manage risks. How do we implement our security system? Okay. Investigate, analyze, logical design, physical implementation, and then maintenance. Then it starts all over again. So where does most money get spent on this, you think? Software, okay, say you're developing something. Where do you spend most of your time and effort?
Well, it should be in the beginning of the process.
Should be, but it normally isn't. It normally is at the very end of the process. You think about it, they put out a new piece of software, then what do you see for the next 3, 4, 5 years? All the bugs fixes, everything. Yeah, normally it's in the maintenance phase. That's where all the money gets spent, which is good, but right, it'd be nice if it was more in the beginning or in the middle in the design area, but you don't always know. Threats are changing all the time. Okay. All right, it says begins with a directive from management specifying the process, outcome, and goals. Okay. Then your teams assemble, come up with the goals. Excuse me, feasibility analysis. Can we actually do this? Which normally you can. Okay. Legal issues. Legal is a big issue now in our organization, at least. I'm assuming you guys have lawyers here as well. But everybody seems, we actually had a student when we very first got our grant. I would tell financial aid each semester who to pay and how much to pay. Pay this guy this amount of money. Well, the way financial aid had done it in the past was if you were on a grant, you got the same money each semester for, a year or two. But ours changed. I mean, you're in different classes each semester, so you're going to get a different amount of money. So, and we had one student who dropped off the grant after the first semester. Well, financial aid went and wrote him a check. And we immediately said, whoa, what are you doing? He goes, but he was on your grant. He says, no, he dropped off the grant. He's no longer getting a check. But they already wrote him a check. And then what sucked was the student immediately went and picked up the check and cashed the check. The school asked for the money back. They never got it back. Never, ever got it back. He says, well, I will be contacting my lawyers, and what happens from that point on. So school never got the money back, and the guy, I don't know, never completed the program, that's for sure. So a lot of issues. Okay. All right, risk management also begins here. Identifying, assessing, and evaluating. Risk should be covered in quite a few classes. I covered in my computer security class. It's covered in ISM. It's covered in ISA. It's covered in a couple different areas. But risk is a big issue. People don't realize what risk is. Like virus scanners. Why do we have virus scanners? Because there's viruses out there. That kind of stuff. Evaluating the levels of risk. We do a project where we have the students come up with something they do, like doing homework at home. What's the risks to doing homework at home? Well, it could be power failure, it could be laptop, it could be theft, it could be time. We have students work on all that. So, okay. So if the threat is an object, person, or other, it could be danger to an asset there. All right. An attack is something that's happening. Someone is currently attacking you. Okay. Next point is now we know of a vulnerability. So now we're going to compromise it. Okay. A lot of those 0-day attacks like that flame virus now, they're finding all kinds of new stuff about it. So vulnerability says a weakness of a control system where necessary controls that are not present or no longer effective. Antivirus is changing. Okay? All right. And there's a whole bunch of different ones. Human error, intellectual property, espionage, acts of theft, software attacks. Last summer I was gone a whole bunch. I think I was up here teaching for a while, and I went to some NCASE training. I did a bunch of stuff last summer. And I came back at the end of summer to get ready for the fall semester, and all my books were gone. Because I keep all the grant books. The way we do our books for our students is I buy them all, and I give them to use during the semester, and I get them back. That way we can recycle some of them. Someone had got into my office and stole shelf after expensive books. I mean, some that you can resell for like 60 or 80 bucks. And yeah, so theft happens all the darn time. So, and we have, you guys have luncheons here, like faculty luncheons every now and then, I'm assuming, something like that. We have them every now and then. And we had one, was it like Christmas time? And someone stole the meat. It was funny. It was at the end of the lunch, or at the end of the luncheon, all the leftovers go into our lounge. Now we can snack out on the rest of the day, and the next night, and even the next day. We went in to get some meat like 2 hours after luncheon. Because what they normally do is they buy a huge turkey and a huge ham. And there's tons of leftovers. Someone took all the meat. And it's like, what the heck? So we had all the fixing, we just had no meat. And it was, I don't know, it was tough. But theft happens all the time. Happens with computer systems. A few years back, someone broke in, was stealing processors out of the computers at Rose State. We had I think it was a 30, maybe a 42-inch flat panel TV on the wall. We were upstairs in a meeting and someone stole it. They came down from the meeting and the TV was gone. And around the corner we found some bolt cutters where they cut through it. And naturally the cameras were turned off at that point. Way back when I first got involved with CSEC, and it's been many, many years ago now, we got laptops. You all hear, some of you heard about the mobile labs. Well, we got laptops, and I had 10 of them, and I would use them during classes and different stuff, but they started breaking because I'd let people borrow them. This is a bad idea. Don't ever let students borrow your laptops. Because what was happening was I'd loan out my laptops to the students, and I give you a perfectly good working laptop because yours is broken. But when you bring it back, now your DVD player works and mine's broken now. And now your power supply works and mine's broken now. So basically what's happening is they were being cannibalized by the students. But we still had some working ones. Then it was over Christmas holidays, someone into our forensics lab, it had to be an insider. So they got into our lab, they got into the locked cabinet inside the lab, stole all the laptops. And there was a camera even. And I even asked the cops, I didn't have access to the cameras at the time. I says, hey, can you look at the recording? They said, okay, we're going to go look at it. Our recording overwrites after 2 weeks. And it was like a 2-week period around Christmas. So I says, are you looking at the recording? Well, we haven't looked at the recording yet, but we're checking the pawn shops. Like, why wouldn't you start at the recording first? But I don't know. Never did track down who stole them. But they were old anyway. So theft happens all the time. Deviation in quality of service from service providers. That's another issue. Internet access. We all need that. Electrical power. They actually just replaced a whole bunch of electrical poles at our schools, so we had to be out without power for 8 hours at a time. So we had to take down the virtual lab and all kinds of other stuff. Forces of nature. Obviously, issues here this morning. So hardware failures, software failures. You all see the article from Zuckerberg about Facebook. They were talking about, it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago when Facebook was very intermittent for a day. There was a quote I guess he had put out there that Facebook never crashes. Never, in bold letters, never crashes. Yeah, and it was pretty much screwed up for that day. It was, yeah, pretty bad. Everybody crashes sooner or later. You have to. I mean, you don't have to, but it just will happen. All right, common attacks, code, hoaxes, backdoors, password attacks, brute force, denial of service, dictionary, all kinds of different stuff that can happen to your systems. Okay? All right. Spoofing, men in the middle, spam, we get that all the time. Mail bombing, sniffers, social engineering, that happens as well. Okay? Buffer overflow, could be a timing attack. Okay? So prioritize the risk for each category, identify and assess the value of the assets. The more expensive ones, obviously you can spend more money protecting. If I have a machine here that costs $1,000, am I going to spend $10,000 protecting it? Probably not. All right. Okay. All right. The design now says create and develop a blueprint of it. Okay. Keep in mind policies, the technology needed. Do you have all this stuff to implement it correctly? Okay. All right. Let's see the different models we're going to talk about here in a second. Okay. This is the design elements are always big, especially with your security system. And a lot of times I find the issue with this is you really go by what people know. Okay? Someone's used to working with ePolicy Orchestrator from McAfee, so you hire them on, that's what they want to work with. So that happens a lot of times. Okay? Okay. And policies, obviously important as well there at the end. Okay? All right. Okay, 3 elements here. Security training, awareness, and education. Obviously, you're doing the education now. But educating users. Does your school offer education for all its normal employees and faculty on a recurrent basis? Assuming it does. We always have, you know, how to use Word, how to use this, how to use that. We always got training all the time for education. But do they really go into security training? I don't know. I doubt it. Be nice. Actually, one thing our school's doing differently now, which is trying to get people more involved in training, is those who have attended a certain number of training classes between the spring and summer are going to get an iPad at the beginning of the fall. School's going to give it to them. So I don't know how it works. We'll see how many people end up getting iPads. I didn't go to the training. It's okay. But they're buying me one anyway, so it's okay. All right. All right. So why do we do all this? Okay. Awareness, skills, and knowledge. A lot of times with awareness, if you don't know there's a problem, you can't fix it. Okay. Building in-depth knowledge. Okay. All right. Controls and safeguards. That's normally our virus scanner, our firewalls, our policies in place. Could also be managerial, operational, and technical. A lot of times the managerial is, paperwork. That's also an issue with it. Okay. It says this is the design, implementation of the planning process. Okay. The management, the risk, all that kind of stuff. Okay. Operational could be disaster recovery. Again, that's where we were lacking. I know we're doing better at our school on that now. But we actually had a power outage, I think it was Thursday, for about 10 minutes, Thursday morning at Rose State. So hopefully no one was using the virtual lab at that point. The virtual lab stayed on because we have battery backups and everything. But other parts of the school went down, so I'm assuming there was probably a service interruption at that point. But disaster recovery is, what do we do if something did happen? Okay. Incident response planning. Okay, something happened, so now we're going to respond to that incident. And also personnel. Do you do background checks? Do you do drug screening on people? That kind of stuff. Okay. And physical security. Do you lock your doors? Okay. All right. Oh, here's a protection of inputs and outputs. What is done there? Do you guys shred all your stuff here at your school? Do you have it? I think so.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we shred a ton of stuff. We hire it out. I guess it gets sent to some shredding organization. But, The little stuff like that, people don't realize, you know. I actually did my penetration testing class this last semester. I did a project where I gave them, I took a sheet of paper that was a receipt from my dentist. Then on that, I put a couple other receipts where I went shopping. I just laid them on top of it. Then I shredded it with a crosscut shredder. Then I gave it to the students. They had to reassemble it. And they were amazed. I mean, the good thing was they were only having to assemble one piece of paper. But they were amazed that within, I think one guy said in 40 minutes, he totally assembled the entire thing, got all the data back again. So, again, it was only one sheet of paper, but it had a lot of data on it. And what I did is I made them a quiz. Well, they had to answer. Said, you know, which dentist did I go to? How much did I pay for apples? That kind of stuff. Because I had, you know, I had like 4 receipts all on one piece of paper. But it was a good learning experience to them to realize that shredding doesn't necessarily get rid of it. It's something. But, you know, if you grab some shred, think about it. If you shred a piece of paper, your shredder is going to be in layers. So the odds are you can get something out and recover it. But the students, they kind of freaked out when I handed it to them. I gave them each a little baggie full of shred. Problem was getting it out of the shredder. I mean, I had to shred each paper and keep the shredder going long enough so all the pieces come out. Then I had to go on the next one, the next one, the next one. But it was a very big eye opener because we always think shredding is great. It is, but is it everything? Not necessarily. So that's something y'all can do too. Okay. Technical and technical issues relate to design and implementation. Technical controls, there's lots of them out there. A lot of times that's managed through software. Okay. I said virus scanners could be whatever we're using out there. Okay. Contingency planning. What happens if something fails? And this is more of the next chapter. Okay. But we have incident planning, disaster recovery, business continuity. Can we continue to function if the internet goes off? No. But what if our building was gone? We actually had a tornado that came right by Rose State a few years ago and took out a bunch of windows in some of the buildings. It really didn't hurt that much. The fact is, it was close. If it was close enough to take out windows, it could have been worse. So, all right, physical security. That's what do we have in place? Do we have door locks? I know if you're handling PCI checks, your servers have to be behind 2 separate locks between the outside world and your servers. They got to go through at least 2 locked doors to get to your servers. So I hear we can actually have them in this room because you got the outside doors and you got the inside doors. So there's 2 separate locks. But physical security is a big deal, okay? And implement it and lock the doors. I got a new alarm system in my house that uses Z-Wave. Y'all know what Z-Wave is? Somebody should know what Z-Wave is. Z-Wave is like X10. You know what X10 is? Okay, it's through the power line and also radio frequency. I got sensors, alarm sensors in my house. You know what those are. But I have it set up now where my alarm system monitors the sensors. For instance, if my back door drives me crazy, the kids will leave my back door open. They'll go out in the back and leave it open. So if the back door is left open for more than 3 minutes, it notifies me that the back door is open. And I've really got it because my garage doors, you know, a lot of times I'll push the button to close the garage door, then the cat will run underneath it. And you don't realize it, and then the door opens back up again. Then I get a cop coming to my door at 3 in the morning and saying your garage door is open. But my new system, between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m., if the garage door is ever open for more than 20 minutes, it notifies me. That's a pretty good time period. But, implementation of physical security, things are changing. It's called Z-Wave. If you go to homeseer.com, you can, actually I can probably show you that. Actually, I can show you my system, I think. Maybe. Hold on. I don't know if I know the password. It's saved on my computer. Come on. Log in. Don't remember my password. Hold on. I can get it. Yeah, I don't remember passwords anymore. I'll show you why here in a second. There it is. There it is. Okay, this is my new alarm system here. Now I can go in here and I can see like notifications. I can see system. Which one of these has it on here? Oh, come on. There it is. If the garage door is left open every day between 8 a.m. and 8 a.m. for 20 minutes, notify me via SMS. If the back patio door is left open at any time for more than 3 minutes, notify me. So it's kind of a cool system, but why can't we have something like that for our organizations? The technology is out there. This system is called 2 gig. It was funny. You all know what 2 gig is. You know what gig is. But really it has nothing to do with that. It stands for 2 guys in the garage. It's actually 2 prior Honeywell employees who developed the system, presented to Honeywell, and they said, nah, we don't want it. So they went and opened their own company. But it's really amazing. And you know, I can go in here and I can literally open my garage doors from here. I can turn on my sling box, turn on my bug light, turn on my cameras in my house, turn them off. So yeah, it's kind of cool. I like it because, yeah. And if I have a thermostat, but it's not into this system where you could actually do that as well. But that's kind of cool. Now well, I'll get into the other part later because we're going to cover it. But physical security, there's a lot of technology available today. I'm just really disappointed a lot of people don't use it. Okay? All right, maintenance and countermeasures. You know, our stuff changed. Do people check it? Tinker Air Force Base. Y'all heard of that place, Oklahoma City. Man, years ago now, they found that a portion of the fence out in the woods back south of the base was down. Like a huge portion of the fence was down for they don't even have a clue how long. They don't know if someone cut it or it broke. It was just down. So the point is, were people checking it? Obviously not. At least not all of it. Okay? All right, so physical resources could be our people, our hardware. Okay? Our information systems could be everything. People, you don't think people are important until you need something and your secretary's gone for the day. Like that's very true. You don't realize how important people are. Okay? All right. Implemented. The security solutions can be acquired, tested, implemented, okay, and tested again. When you're switching to a new system, make sure it actually works. Okay, that's always a good idea. Okay. All right, managing it says plan the project, supervise it, then wrap it up when it's done. It's always a good thing. Okay. Who should be on this team? Well, some champion. In other words, who's going to be running this thing? Okay. Team leaders, security people, risk people, end users as well. That's always a big aspect of any big plan of a security system. Who's actually going to be using it? Because it might be too technical for them. Okay. Staffing it. Okay. The positions and the names of the functions. Who's going to be in there? So there's a lot of involved in doing this. Okay. All right. Here's some of the people. Okay. We have our security managers, technicians, owners, custodians, users, just all kinds of people involved in the information security area. And we already talked about some of these certifications already. The CISSP, Security Plus, or anyone have any SSCP certifications in here? Do you guys offer those? I know the Career Tech Oklahoma City does. Do you guys offer them at Great Plains? No? I know Francis thought of it. We don't do it either, but there's a bunch of different security or certifications in this area. Okay. All right. Once it's implemented, it must be operated, manned, maintained. Because prime example of something like this is we have that PeopleSoft system. They're actually updating it right now. They're supposed to be done updating it the end of summer. So we have these people that are in there doing all that. But when they're all done updating it, they're going to leave. So are we actually getting all the information we need so that we can continue to maintain and operate it after they leave? You don't always know. Okay. All right, the program is not adjusting adequately to changes. Change it again. Okay. Maybe it didn't work. Whatever your plan was didn't work out. And sometimes plans are so long, it takes so long, things have to change. Okay. All right. Maintenance. We have external monitoring, internal monitoring, planning, review. There's just all kinds of stuff to make sure the plans are actually happening. Okay. There's a picture of it. Okay. All right. And the management program is a formal standard. Okay. And let's actually look at this standard. I actually got a copy of it. Maybe. Okay, here we go. The 17799. This, I think, has been updated, but I didn't go find the update. Okay. It's a 6-page document. Okay. Okay, it's a code of practice, offers guidelines and voluntary decisions for information security management. It's meant to provide a high-level general description of the area currently considered important when initiating, implementing, and maintaining information security organization. That's what this document does. So if you're ever planning on doing something like this, they should be following this document as the guideline at least. Okay? We're not going to go through all these. It talks about a lot of the otherness. Yes?
Of course, I work for the government, so I've always gone by NIST.
Right.
And
that's what these are here, the NIST
yeah,
documents.
The NIST documents.
Right.
And actually, I found, because I've got some people that I help that I mentor that don't work for the government,
right? But
they're trying to do cybersecurity in the hospitals and things like that,
right?
And they found the NIST documents quite helpful because of the way they were organized. Right. And I tell them it's because they're written for government people, small words, and all that. And so they actually found a lot of value, even though they didn't work for the government, in the NIST, in using the NIST guidelines, because it's a little bit more step by step, but still kind of high level.
Right.
It lets you do what you want to do.
Right. Well, cool. Yeah, we cover the NIST documents quite a bit. Actually, this is the one in the class where actually there's quite a few of them. The students have to go back and look up a bunch of them. But yeah, NIST documents are amazing, and they're always updated.
Yes.
They're and they're free.
Yeah.
And the government uses them, so the odds are they're halfway decent.
Right. And when there's a problem with them, we believe me, we tell them there's a problem. They actually usually fix the problems within a reasonable amount of time.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, but there's a whole big old list of them here. Okay. All right. So this is a decent document. Again, I know it's been updated since I got this copy, but yeah, gives you an idea. Okay. All right, that's the end of this chapter. All right, let me stop this recording.